Hi guys, welcome to my second Visual C++ tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be covering outputting text on your screen through a console application. Now this tutorial is basically a continuation from my first tutorial where I never actually got down to explaining the actual code. However, we're going to actually be making a few modifications to the first program that I did. So let's go and create a new project. I'm going to expand Visual C++, Win32, and I'm going to select Win32 console application, and I'm going to give my project a name. I'm going to call this YouTube Tutorial 2, and click on OK. Okay, now we're going to click on Next, and under the additional options, we want to make sure Empty Project is checked and click on Finished. Now this actually gives us a clean project to start up with so that we don't have to worry about any of the pre-written code by Visual Studio. Okay, so once your project has been successfully created, we need to change something called our character set. Now we'll be using native C++, so how Visual Studio is set up, we need to modify it to allow us to use native C++. So you want to head to the project options and click on properties, and you want to click on configuration properties, and under character set we want to change from use Unicode character set to not set, and apply and OK. Okay, so our IDE has been set up successfully. Now we want to come over to our Solution Explorer and click on the source files folder. Now right click on it, add new item. We're going to add a new .cpp file, and I'm going to name that source.cpp and click on add. Okay, now that we've made our source.cpp, we can begin to develop our application. Now we're going to be developing an application that's going to output text on the screen, very similar to the application we developed in the first tutorial, except this time the application is going to be a lot cleaner in terms of code and basically all around easier to understand. So let's get straight into it. We want to do an include IOStream and using namespace std with the semicolon at the end of that line. Now what these two lines of code does, the first line basically tells the computer to include everything in the class file IOStream. Now IOStream is needed because it contains all of the functions and instructions that the program needs to basically input data into the computer and output data on the screen. So we need this. The using namespace std, a namespace is basically a way that we can group all of our entities and all of our classes together. So we're telling the computer that we want to basically use the standard namespace, which is basically part of the IOStream class. So you don't actually need to understand totally what these two mean. Once we've included them, we're good to go. Okay, next we need to create our main function. So we're going to type int, which stands for integer, then main, a set of empty parentheses, and two curly braces. Now this is what is called the main function, and anytime we create an application in C++, we always need to create a main function. Now when we run an application, the first thing that it looks for is main. Now if you don't have a main, C++ doesn't know where to start executing the code from, so we need this main function to say that this is where we want to start our program from. So the entire main function is contained within these two curly braces, so anything that we want to include needs to come between these two curly braces. So what I want to do is build a basic application to output text on the screen. To do that, within our main function, let's do cout. Now this word here, known as cout, is called the output stream operator. This allows us to output text into a file or on the screen. Next, I'm going to include two less than signs, and this is known as the insertion operator, and it's used in conjunction with cout. And I'm going to do a quote, hello world, and end quote, and then end that line with a semicolon. So what this is going to do is it's basically going to say, okay, cout, we need you to output on the screen hello world, and this semicolon basically tells C++ that we're finished executing that line of code. If we don't include this semicolon, our program is going to get an error and it won't compile. So let's go to debug and start debugging and hit yes. And it's going to build our application and run it, and our application is going to execute very fast and close. The reason being is that the application did its job. It displayed hello world, it was finished, so it decided to exit. So if we want to basically see our results, what we need to do is we need to include one more line of code, and we're going to be using cin. Now cin is called the input stream operator and allows us to input data into our program. So we're going to use cin.get with a set of empty parentheses and a semicolon to end the line. Now this is basically going to wait until the user presses enter before the program exits. So let's go to debug and start debugging and build. Now this time the program is going to execute, but it isn't going to close off. It's going to wait until the user presses enter. So as you can see, the program executed successfully, and if I press enter, the program is going to exit. So that's it. We've successfully built an application to output text on the screen, and of course you can edit the text that you want to output. So if I want to output Mr. Anderson tutorials, I can do that as well, and start debugging and click on yes. And our program has launched successfully, and if I hit the enter key, it's going to close. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial on displaying text through a console application on your screen. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and remember to subscribe. Until the next video, bye.